Good morning NFI and welcome to the NFI Tag 2017. There's lots of questions to get through, so let's get straight to it. Ben asks, how long can you do a handstand? The answer to that is 0 long. I don't think ever in my entire life have I been able to do a handstand. And unfortunately there's not really time for me to, try and demonstrate now. Also there's not really room. There's a ceiling just right there. There's not enough space, which is a shame. Katie asks, favourite memory from childhood? But also, Nick asks, fondest childhood memory? Now I'm not going to answer those separately because that's basically the same question. For the purposes of this one I'm going to assume that childhood means anything below the age of 18. I wasn't really sure about this, but after spending some time thinking I decided that most of my favourite childhood memories came from camping trips when I was a scout. And there's one in particular that comes to mind that wasn't exactly related to scouts but to friends I had made in the Scouts. I think it was most likely the last summer I lived at home before going to university. I'd recently turned 17 and learned to drive. I borrowed my mum's car and drove myself and a couple of my best friends at the time down to the south coast, and we spent a week in Bournemouth and a week camping in the New Forest, and it was basically the first time I had ever been on a proper holiday without my parents. Then, slightly related to that question, Dioscuri asks, what is your most vivid memory from before the age of 5? This is one of the questions on the list that I'm finding the trickiest to find an answer for, mostly because my memory of childhood is not very good. It's spotty and disjointed, and a lot of it, I remember some things but I lack context of when or where it was and things like that. I can identify some memories of primary school, but that would have been ages 6 or 7. Basically anything before the age of 5 was before I'd started any kind of schooling. And even after a few days racking my brain about it, I just can't come up with anything, so sorry. Next, Katie asks, if you were stranded on a desert island, what 3 things would you take with you? Now this question begs a lot of follow-up questions that kind of define the scenario. Do we have our basic needs covered on this desert island? Is there shelter, food, medical supplies? If there wasn't a lifetime supply of insulin available, I would die a pretty horrible death within a week. Does the island have internet? If not, then one of the things I would take would be a boat so I could leave for somewhere that did have internet. If we do have food, meds and internet covered, then all I would need would be some kind of solar-powered charger thing and my phone. And seeing as you asked for 3 things, probably some kind of nice pocket knife multi-tool thing. Dioscuri asks, cats or dogs, and why? For me, it's got to be cats. Going back to childhood again, as a family we always had cats as pets rather than dogs, and that probably affected my decision on this question quite a lot. I'm not against dogs, they're fun to play with, but they also require a lot more attention. They're great to play with from time to time, but I'm not sure I would enjoy the responsibility of being the owner of one. Pat asks, smooth or crunchy peanut butter? And the answer, of course, to that is neither. Although, if I'm honest, I'm not sure I remember actually ever having tried either, but the idea just doesn't appeal to me. Pat asks, do we exist for some sort of purpose, or are we just here by some unique circumstance? I believe our existence here is a complete fluke of nature and is not powered by some grand design, and so our purpose is simply what we make of it ourselves. Anonymous asks, one thing you are learning currently? I'm currently trying to learn to speak German, or more accurately I should say relearning. I learnt at school and then didn't use it for 20 years and now I'm trying to pick it up again. Why, you might possibly ask? Well, Anonymous also asks, best trip in recent memory? Well, that would have to be the end of last year when I went to Germany to visit Corolla, which there is video of if you're interested in such things. Before that, there'd been like the odd weekend away, but that was basically the first proper holiday I'd had in many years. Anonymous also asks, next planned thing you are looking forward to? Well, funnily enough, at the end of May, I'm going to be going back to Germany for another visit. Pat asks, favourite person on NFI? Hint, it's Pat. Better hint, clearly it's Dave. No, I'm not going to fall into the trap of trying to pick the favourite of our 2 NFI overlords. That honour has to go to Corolla. There are many reasons for that, one of which we can answer with the next question, where Ben asks, how did you get on NFI? To go as quickly as possible, Corolla found my channel during Project for Awesome 2013, she subscribed and started commenting on videos, we started having chats and comments, which ended up with us meeting in real life, and she invited me to make a video for NFI. And that, as they say, is history. Kathy asks, who is is your favourite Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle character? I think if I remember correctly, when the cartoon was first airing, yes, I am that old, my favourite was Raphael. But these days, as an old guy watching teenagers run all over the internet, I think I identify more with Splinter. Anonymous asks, if the world could only be one colour, which one would you choose? I guess in this situation we would still at least get some shadows and shades, otherwise it would be very hard to, differentiate objects and actually have it be a functional world. But I think I would probably choose a very dark blue. Dave asks, name something that YouTube has given you in terms of a new experience or a new outlook, etc. Well, it's led me to meet a bunch of you in the meat space, and that was definitely an experience. Anonymous asks, name something you are a fan of that some people laugh at. This is another question I've been having problems coming up with an answer to. I can't think of an interest that I have that I don't share with at least one other of my friends. So yeah, sorry, and this is already running long. So next, Sam asks, first interaction with the internet? Now this is going to date me again, and probably some of you may not even know what I'm talking about, but I started out on AOL chat rooms. Anonymous asks, recommend a book very quickly. I have done that on NFI before, but in short, Peter F. Hamilton's The Reality Dysfunction. Nick asks, why is Dave so lovely? To which I respond with, wait, Dave's lovely? Which of course he is, he's a lovely ginger cuddly teddy bear. As to why, I have absolutely no idea. It certainly can't be the influence of growing up in Hull. Then asks, what is your most important motto in life? I've been through 2 or 3 things that I guess you would call mottos over the years. These days I mostly stick with the obvious though, DFTBA. Ben asks, what inspires you? If you'd have asked me this 5 years ago, I wouldn't have had a clue what to say. But now I think I get most inspiration from my friends. I do what I do because I want good things for my friends, and we all kind of lift each other up together, in theory. And finally, Dan asks, the world is going to end in 24 hours. What would you do? For the purposes of this question, I'm going to presume that in that 24 hours there's nothing we can do to stop the world ending. But then when you start thinking about it, 24 hours isn't really a long time to do anything. Not that's super significant. So if I'm honest, I think I would probably end up at the pub, drinking with my friends, celebrating the life we've had. And on that lovely note, we come to an end. I look very much forward to hearing what answers other people have to these questions. And so Carola and Katie, we will see you tomorrow.